Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. We are small but mighty today. And our topic is, we're going to share our parenting mistakes from when our kids were teenagers. And Jessica's going to have to wing it because she doesn't have teenagers. But she's close to being a teenager. So maybe she can reflect on what her parents did that they could have done better. Anyway, my list is too long. I think I was a good mom, but there's so much opportunity for error here. And I think I might have gotten an A in that department. So I am going to start with the first one, which I still do today. You would think I would learn after all these years. I drown them in questions. And I do that. I thought a lot about why do I do that. So when they were in school, there was a whole day of missing out on their lives. And I just wanted to be part of it. I wanted to know, how did this go? How did that go? Who did you sit with at lunch? How did that class go? You were having trouble in that class. And I would sound more frenetic than I just did, which even sounded like too much to me. So the other day I still did it with my youngest going off to college. And he just looked shell-shocked, like, oh my God. One question, you get one question. So to all of those people who are wanting all of the information of what they missed with their kids, I feel your pain. They never satisfied me. They found my barrage of questioning to be entirely irritating. So rather than asking one question and getting maybe an answer, I asked too many questions and got nothing. So that is my word to you. If I were to be able to get there one day, is to ask less questions. And I'm going to pass it to Mindy.
So I'm right there with you, Sue. It's interesting with my youngest, when he would come home, it became so rote to me asking questions that I'd say, hey, how's your day? Good. Hey, any homework? It was like this routine I had. And he'd finally say to me, Mom, you asked me that question 2 minutes ago. And I didn't pay attention. So I stopped asking after that. But for me, the biggest mistake I made was the pressure for college and getting kids into college. I regretted it. I remember my kids were fortunate enough to go to a good high school. So of course, ACTs and SATs were just ridiculously high. And I remember my middle son, unbeknownst to me, got a fine score. But because, what all the other parents were saying, I literally remember thinking, he's not going to get into college.
Oh my God, Mindy, I have that same story. It's crazy.
And the pressure I put on him. And then, thanks to your teen article that we did, I found out his score was well above average nationally. But because of the school he was in, I was so skewed. So I remember texting him his freshman year and apologizing and saying, I am so sorry I put that pressure on you because it was so necessary. And he said, I know, Mom. I know it was unnecessary. So that's my biggest regret. And to this day, he's been out of college for a while. My kids are older. I still feel guilty about that.
So that was on my list because I think it's hard. I don't even know if I could do better today, honestly, because the pressure's everywhere. It didn't come from me because I didn't know to be nervous about it, but it came from around me. Even the schools were putting pressure on the kids and therefore on us.
Correct.
So I don't know. Did anyone figure that one out?
I think the best.
I just was going back.
I had dinner a couple weeks ago with a friend of mine, and I said to her, her daughter's she's going to be a senior. And I said, so, is your daughter thinking about what's your daughter doing next year? She's thinking about college. And she looked at me and her eyes were really wide. And she's like, what a great way to ask it. Because normally you say is what schools your daughter is thinking of. And she's like, and I didn't know how to rephrase it. And I go, you're teen. So anyway, you know what I mean? So that's what happens is you're so used to saying where's your kid going to college versus what's your kid thinking about doing next year? And that makes a huge difference. So there's that.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Great answer. And I would have gone back. I was just talking to a friend this weekend too, Eka. It's a friend's weekend. And I remember, and we were talking, and I said, if I had to do it over again, I would say to my kids, you don't have to go to college, number one. Take a year off if you want to work. I just would go back and do it differently and not put that pressure and realize there's a lot of options out there. So anyway,
Kamira, you were trying to jump in, Kamira.
Well, one thing I think I did fairly well is with our last one, sophomore year, the school had a meeting, a pre-college meeting sophomore year, because parents wanted it. The school didn't want to do it. And I came home from that meeting and I said to him, listen, we're not going to talk about college. You're going to go to college. We don't know where, but you're going to go because you want to go and you're high achieving. So you will get in somewhere. A lot of that is not determined by us. You will do your best. You will have your wants, but we're not going to talk about it. I am not going to go full throttle parental mode until your junior year. And then we're going to have a plan and we're going to go into it and I'm going to manage myself and I'm going to get other people to help manage me. And we're going to do this, but we're not going to go crazy, because he had friends who were in 10th grade and already stressing, like seriously stressing college. And I thought that it was just too unfair.
You're good. You are good. Okay, I'm going to share what Joanne says. We overthink so much. We need to learn to breathe. Joanne, such a good tip for parenting teenagers for life, but for sure here. Okay, so let's move along. Kamira, do you want to do what was on your mistakes?
Sure. I think my sons will have a long scroll of my mistakes, but the one I picked out was I'm really poor with empathetic listening. Like, instead, I want to problem solve, or I want to diffuse the situation, or I want to share a similar situation in an attempt to like build community and let them know they're not alone and stuff. And really, they want you to say, that must be hard. Tell me more. And I'm really bad about that because that leaves nothing. And it was forever before one of them actually told me, you're really bad about that. And that's not the response I'm looking for. So I'm really trying, because each day is a new day. We'll see if I ever get there. I'm going to send it up to Eka.
Okay. So Sue, going back to the thing with the questions, I have one daughter who shuts down and I have another one who kind of puts up with it and then shuts down. So I had this experience where my daughter called me because she just had a really great weekend. And she goes, okay, Mom, I'm in a place where, do you want to know every single detail? And I said, yes. And then she goes, and then you can ask all the questions you want. So she actually knows it. So she gave me all the details and I was allowed to ask a question in between, because she in her mind said, okay, I'm going to let her do this because this is what she likes to do. So I have that just to say, I don't know how that even happened.
That's like a good birthday present, right?
Yeah. So she let me ask and I talked to her for like an hour. And I think she said, Mom, if you have more questions, you can call me back and ask, because this one she's going to let me be a part of. Okay. But beyond that, what I would have done differently if I could do it all over again, and I did wrong, was I would have not let the phones go in the room at night. I would have totally done the whole thing where we're plugging them, we're recharging them outside in the kitchen. I realized, when we started checking and one was really tired and there was texting going on and, all that kind of stuff, that's one of the things I would have redone is no phones in the rooms. And when you get them a phone, that could be part of your contract with your child, is like, we're getting this phone, I'm paying for it, but here are some ground rules. And that would have been one of the ones. And I would have probably taken it also during our homework time. So during
dinner time.
Well, no, dinner was, we had said there were no phones at the dinner. In fact, like if we're having dinner, even now, as my daughters are adults, someone will be like, oh, we should go see that movie. And one of our daughters, or even my husband, will say, may I have permission to use my phone? So, I mean, it really is. It's like, if it's at the dinner table, you ask permission from the table and everyone says yes, but it's one of the common courtesies we do is you ask permission. You just don't grab your phone and start seeing what time it is. So that's my thing. So I'm going to send it down to Jessica.
I'm going to jump in for 1 second with Stephanie. Stephanie Galanis says, my son is starting 11th. I myself have grieving feelings and is growing about his growing up. And he has a girlfriend and I feel like I lost my best friend. So Stephanie, we want to give you a shout out and just say, like, we're thinking of you. It's hard. And I want to tell you that last Thursday, I spoke to Ronnie Cohen Sandler, who's a psychologist, about saying goodbye to our kids. And she told her own story about how what she was grieving was that she didn't have a very close relationship with her daughter. Her daughter wasn't like really confiding in her in high school. And so she felt like it was all over. She'd lost her chance, and now they're super close. So how it is today is not how it will be after. And it is a loss. Anyway, and then Stephanie also says, I would have refused Snapchat. Yeah, social media.
Totally.
Mindy?
Yeah, and Ek, I'm just jumping in with you. I would have taken the phone, and along that line, taken the phone, and I would have educated myself more about technology and what they were using early, because they would tell me things that weren't true about it, like that after a certain time the texts disappear, that kind of, like, meaning, were you on your phone last night at 2 a.m.? No, whatever. I would have educated myself more.
They had excuses. All right, Jess.
All right. I want to add just me being closer to being a teenager, but like nowadays, I'm terminally online, and I'll see a person be like, I'm 19. I'm like, that's basically an infant. So I feel like I'm starting to get to that point where I don't fully get teenagers. But I will say my dad, and he's talked about this before, so I think I'm allowed to share it. But he used to get kind of real mad about just the smallest things, like and like everything from not doing chores to like accidentally knocking something over and spilling soda everywhere, like just things that not always necessarily worth getting very angry about. And he said, like, after he met his one of his best friends and kind of learned, like, oh, you don't need to get mad. Like, I mean, stuff like spilling soda all over the place, kind of already a punishment in and of itself. And he said, he's like, I need to get one of those bracelets, like the WWJD, which is what would Jesus do, but replace the J with because we're Jewish, so it's WWRD. Like, what would Randy do? Just like gotta learn from my best friend. Like, just don't sweat the small stuff. Don't get mad about things that don't really matter.
Okay, well, what we've seen today is that there's so many things we're going to get wrong. There's so much room for error. There's room for change and redos and apologies. And Mindy, do you want to say something?
Sorry, I'm telling my dog not to bark at me. Going, no.
All right. So I'm going to end. Well, we'll still let Kamira tell us what's going on this week. Oh, and also Wednesday night, we need to talk about. But I want to say one thing that I still don't have a handle on, which is over-identifying with their pain. So I know that most of us have heard this, we're only as happy as our least happy kid. And that is just such a struggle for me, like letting their pain be theirs and not over-identifying with it. And I don't know how you do it. So if any of you guys out there have suggestions of how you cope with that and how you change that, I'd love to hear it. In the meantime, Kamira, tell us about tomorrow.
I do want to say that this summer has been a lot of fun watching Jessica be in the middle. Like, she's been too old and feeling old with our teen interns and then feeling young with us on these. So it's been a lot of fun watching her flip from one to the other. Tomorrow, we are talking preventing teen substance abuse. And we are speaking with Pamela Brinker. I am prepared today. Look at that. I have her book and everything. Normally, I don't have the stuff. So this is her book, Conscious Bravery, and we're going to be talking about preventing teen substance abuse. So that's going to be a good conversation. You're not guaranteed to prevent things in this world, but there are steps that you can take to hopefully set your family in the correct direction, or the direction that you would like to be in. So that's tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
And Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we have a free webinar for middle school parents talking about, I mean, middle school is so under-addressed because as a parent of a middle schooler, that was probably the most shocked I was in unprepared for how to deal with the change. And our kids are struggling now too. So we have a psychologist coming on. There's a link to sign up. If you can't attend it at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, if you register, you'll still get a replay. So if you have a middle school kid or you have friends with middle school kids, we're going to be offering a lot of support to help parents get through this stage, which then, of course, ultimately helps our kids. And do we have anything else to share? I know. Lori wrote something here. I knew there was one last thing. So Lori, hi, Lori. We're always grateful to hear from you. And Lori, you can never get it right, Lori. You're either too invested in college or you start to feel like maybe you weren't invested enough. But he's doing well in college, and maybe you were too relaxed with him. But at the end of the day, he's doing great, and we're really happy to hear that. But again, it does fall into where's Goldilocks. We're always looking for that perfect. But we were along the ride with you, Lori, and we know you did a great job. Will you have support with how to handle your teen having sex? Says he's in love. So Stephanie is asking, I think, for Wednesday night's conversation. This is addressing middle school, so I'm not sure we're going to get to that. But we can get that answer for you somewhere else. We have information about that on our website, and maybe Jessica can put it, I don't know if right now, but at some point she can put up an article or some conversation that we've had about that. Thank you. Thank you to Stephanie and to Lori for joining us and sharing. And we love seeing all of you. Thanks for being with us. Have a good week.